For 8 years, Torrance Police Detective Walt Delcine worried away at the Carol Lubon file, drawn by an irresistible hunch that this young mother did not disappear voluntarily. But actual evidence of a crime? Just wasn't any. So finally, in 2010, 29 years after Carol supposedly walked out on her family and never came back, Delcine decided it was time for a surprise visit to Michael Lubon. He went over with his sergeant.
He invited us in. We did catch him unexpectedly, but that was the plan.
But was Mike upset or thrown off? Not at all.
Very nice, like I anticipated he would be, because I'd now heard from everybody in the family how Mike's a good guy.
So, together, they went over again the details of that last night back in March '81. And right away, Mike remembered a little more about the night Carol presented him with a real estate contract and a demand they sell their tiny house.
She came in and gave the baby, she said no. Did she just say, turn around and walk away with it? Or what happened?
She said, you make my skin crawl.
You make my skin crawl?
Yeah.
Ah.
And I thought, bing, I'll bet you she did say that. So I pushed him some more for more details.
And the details were, once again, a little different. About when and where he last saw her, for example. It wasn't when he went to bed around 10 p.m., as he said on one occasion, or 5:30 the next morning, as he also said. No, this time Mike said he last saw Carol about 10:30 or 11 p.m. in the bathtub.
How was he in the tub?
I used the bathroom.
And then he said, maybe around midnight or 1 or 2, he heard the garage door go up, and he went to the door and actually saw Carol's car driving away.
I see.
You
Tail
actually
lights.
see taillights?
Yeah.
And you're sure it was her car?
Yeah.
Also, remember that story about putting tape on the dresser drawers after Carol left and that later he found it broken? Didn't remember that now.
So you didn't do the tape thing?
I don't know what that.
Okay. You don't know what that is?
No.
But as he sat here in 2010, he did remember some other traps he'd set, even more elaborate.
Like, I would take like baby powder and put it on the right inside the door. So if somebody stepped in, I'd see there would be mess.
Baby powder? Okay. And what else? Anything else?
I think I did that James Bond thing with the paper on the door.
Paper on the door?
Paper balls.
Okay. Okay.
That's about it.
By now, Detective Delcine was working with his colleague Jim Wallace and Deputy DA John Lewin. Lewin specializes in tackling the most difficult of cold cases. Do you remember when you saw the results of that interview, what you thought?
Yeah, I thought that his memory had grown in areas where it shouldn't, and in areas where he should be saying the same story was different. And that's the hallmark of deception.
Sure. But the mind plays tricks. The mind invents things and inserts them into your memory, and you believe them as strenuously as if they actually happened.
That's an interesting theory. I don't think it's really supported. Memories can be lost, but memories don't increase in details over the years, and they don't increase in different details. And that's a sign of what we call a lie. His version of what happened from the start made no sense to any of us. This is what makes the case.
And why would Mike lie? To the cold case team, it seemed obvious.
He killed her that night, she stopped living that night, and everything else that's going that doesn't make sense, it's all because it's a lie. If you know it's a lie, then it all lines up.
Remarkably, Mike Lubon continued to talk to them 3 more times of his own free will, very friendly, without an attorney. He even let the prosecutor take a crack at him.
If you were me, if you were in my position, tell me what you would think.
Probably what you're thinking.
Which is?
That I did it.
Well, Mike, I can tell you. You know, sometimes, you know the kind of murder cases we get. We get cases where the husband finds out that his wife is cheating on him, and he kills her. So
Nothing to do with that.
Did you catch what Mike said? It had nothing to do with that. Lewin did.
When you just look at sentence structure and you look at how people talk and communicate, it wasn't about that. What is the it?
You gave that great significance, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
So they kept at Mike. and at one point it seemed to them he was on the verge of confessing.
Listen, why don't you give me a few minutes or a few days or something to think about it a little bit? I'll cooperate when I come back.
But when he came back, he didn't give them anything, and they were right back where they started. Suspicion, sure, but no evidence of a crime. No way to even prove Carol was dead. That is, until Detective Jim Wallace hit on an idea to use a tool that didn't even exist when Carol Lubon fought with her husband on a March night in 1981.
Coming up, the long arm of Facebook.
It's a kind of a place where we say, here I am, but it's also a place where you can find people.
The result, a dramatic turn in the case and fresh heartbreak for Carol's family.
Another nightmare on top of the first nightmare.